Everyone, my name is Harima Akram and I'm a senior at theology. I'm also a lead for Chicago Startup Week's mentorship program, and I'd like to welcome you to our mentoring event, Aboard the Mentorship. The mentorship program was created to provide an additional resource to Chicago's aspiring entrepreneurs, to connect you with someone who's been in the same position as you in the past and would love to help you navigate the startup world. Everyone is welcome to apply. Although high school students are only eligible to sign up as mentees, professionals are only eligible to sign up as mentors, but college students can apply as mentors, mentees, or both. The program is designed to run until the end of the semester, and each mentor-mentee pair is expected to for a total of at least 5 hours over the course of the next couple of months, which will hopefully kickstart a lasting relationship between each mentor and their mentee. Depending on interest, we are also planning some mentoring events where participants can meet their fellow mentors and mentees. You never know where you'll find your next business partner. As the lead of the program, I will also always be available in case any issues arise. So feel free to reach out whenever. Today's event is a networking event information session hybrid. We have a guest joining us today to talk a little about her journey, how mentorship helped her get where she is today, and how to gain the most value from this program. And then we'll open the stage for questions, either for the speaker or regarding this program in general. For the second half of the event, we'll be transitioning to another platform, GamerJive, where you can quickly set up an account and meet with other attendees of today's event in a group setting. We'll talk a little more about GamerJive later on. And for now, let us welcome Sarah Ather, the guest speaker, on stage.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for Harim for that. So yeah, my name is Sarah. I was born in Chicago, raised in the suburbs. I know not to say anymore that I'm from Chicago. I know a lot of people don't like it when you're raised in the suburbs and you say that. But yeah, my story isn't really complete without the story of my parents. I currently work as an application developer for an insurance company in the city. But yeah, before that, my parents migrated to America from a country called Pakistan. And my mom came here in the early 20s, or in her early 20s. So she was very young, and things were actually very tough for her when she started off. And so in my life, I think my mom has really been like my first exposure to a mentor and like I don't know if my thing went away. But yeah, she's really my first exposure to a mentor and a role model, like growing up as me and my siblings, like my mom would be working full time, and then she would also be having to take classes in the evenings. So that was really my first exposure to someone who really persisted, and just I had someone to bounce ideas off of who had been through a lot. But fast forward a few years, I decided to major in computer science. And I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Let's see. Are you guys able to see it okay?
Yeah,
okay.
We can see it.
So yeah, so I started off.
We can see your desktop right now, not the actual file.
Let me try to.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a second. But yeah, basically the point.
I can go ahead and share it.
Oh yeah, do you mind doing that? But yeah, as Reem pulls it up, I can still get started on it. So basically, I started off at UIC. I decided to major in computer science. And when I started off, like no one in my family had really done that. I didn't really have any friends doing it. I had the classic experience of walking into my freshman year, and I had a class. It was one of the introductory computer science classes, and it was like a couple hundred people, and there were only like a handful of women. So naturally, that was a very intimidating experience. I didn't know what I was doing. Most of the guys in the class had been like coding since they were very young, and like I was very new to the whole space. So I had a lot of doubt. I like literally was so confused about my projects and whatnot. But then towards the end of my freshman year, I went into something that we have on campus called the Computer Science Lounge. And over there, I met this girl, and she told me about an organization called WIX, which is Women in Computer Science. So this organization was focused to basically help women in CS, mentorship, opportunities, and over there. So she told me about this organization, but then not only did she like kind of help me guide me, she started throwing my name into the room. She's like, oh, hey, like they're looking for board positions. SAR is really cool. Hey, why don't you join the board? So through that process, I was able to, my school actually sponsored me to go to this conference called Grace Hopper, which is a conference for women in computing. So far at this point, my freshman year had been a class with like hundreds of men and just a handful of women. And then finally, I met this one girl who is trying to help me out. And then I hear of this conference for women in computing. So I finally attend it. I walk in and it's in Houston. So we get flown out. And the first talk is in Toyota Center in Houston, which is where the basketball games happen. So it's a room filled with thousands of women in tech. There's astronauts, there's CTOs of companies, there's like startup founders, there's like everything you can imagine. And this was my first time seeing this many women in like technical positions. So to me, I was like, whoa, this is insane. Like so far in my journey, so many of my barriers were really like, first of all, not seeing people who looked like me in these roles. And then kind of like, I didn't really have accessible mentors. Like if I did have people, they were my professors. I didn't really know too many people in the industry. So yeah, that kind of threw me into it, and that got me really excited. And I finally felt like I belonged. Then when I came back to Chicago, I saw all these startup founders, right? And I was like, oh, this is so cool. So then I heard about something called Campus 1871, which many of you may have heard of. It's like a weekend at the local 1871 is a space for like people who want to kind of work on their startups and whatnot, and they have like programming throughout the year. So there's one specific one they have for college students. So what it is they pick a bunch of college students from around the Chicago area, and you get to participate in, you get put in groups with random people, and you can pitch your ideas, and then the winners get or throughout the weekend you get mentors, which are startup founders, and then at the end you can possibly get like prizes from 1871, including like having a space there to work on your startup. So that was super exciting. My team didn't win, but I still got access to these mentors and a lot of people who I literally still talk to today. So, and then from there, I finally had that experience, right, of like what it, like I started learning more about startups and that space. So then later that year, I decided to work on my own thing. And while I was working on my own thing, I really did go back to the people I met, or like stay connected. I'm still connected with a lot of the people from that weekend. Like this one girl I know, she recently just published a book, and this was like 4 years ago. And she was one of the other competitors, and we both lost, but we both have each other, and she's doing such amazing things. And so it's just been really cool at the next stage of my journey, right? I like started working on my own startup. And then I competed in the UIC startup competition. And there I used those resources and the advice from the people who I had met so far and applied it. And I ended up winning. So I won like a few, like it wasn't like too big, but I got those like giant checks, and I was like, whoa, these are actually real. No way. So that was a really cool experience. And then as the next year progressed, I got involved with something called Think Chicago, which many of you have heard. I think they're a partner of this week as well. But yeah, so that was just even more exposure to people in these positions where like where they were just able to offer me more advice, and I just kept networking, kept connecting. And so then came a point where I'd been majoring in computer science, I'd been going to these events, but then I had an internship. As an internship, although it was rated as one of like the best internships in the country, I didn't really feel like I belonged, and I was just having trouble with really like fitting in. I had a lot of microaggressions expressed towards me. This one coworker once told me that I just got this position because I was a girl and things like that. So it was a bit of a frustrating experience. But even there, I tried to reach out to the people who I thought could help me, and it really makes a difference when you just have someone to talk to. So as that internship finished up, I realized that a lot of the people in tech aren't people who look like me. So that led me to start a nonprofit organization called Muslim Women in Technology, where we kind of help empower women and other marginalized groups in tech. And now today I work at CNA, as I mentioned, as an application developer. So I actually recently just got promoted too, and that also wouldn't be possible without all the people that I have been talking to so far. So this just shows that I wouldn't be here today without having these like networks of people. And it's not just going to be one mentor. Ultimately, it's going to be like the multiple people you talk to, and you really have to maintain relationships with them. So now going into more of the idea of a mentor-mentee relationship and how to really make the most of it. So the first thing I would say is you really need to prepare in multiple ways. I know like nowadays it's really, people will be like, oh, you're so stalkerish. But when it comes to your mentor, their information's on LinkedIn. Before you meet up with them, you should probably look it up, read up on them, see what they're about. Because like as someone who has been on both sides of it, like the mentor usually has very limited time. Their calendars are really booked, and you probably have a lot going on as well. So you don't want to like start the conversation asking questions that you could have just looked up. So you want to prepare in multiple senses. So one is, first of all, look up your mentor, see what their expertise is, see what their interests are, just so you can get the most out of that relationship. And the second thing is, so you're probably going to have different mentors for different things in your life. So you want to make sure that you're like, I made the mistake once of like, I tried to gain a mentor, and she was like someone who's very senior. She had a very senior position. And I was kind of just like, oh, I want a mentor. And on the phone call, she's like, okay, but like, what do you want out of this? Where do you see yourself? Like all these questions that I didn't have the answer to. And I did get a bit overwhelmed because I was like, what is this whole mentoring thing? Like, I thought they were supposed to help me. But don't, like, take a deep breath, relax, and just try to think about it a little bit more. Like, what are things that you value in your life? What are things that you want to build on? What are things you want to get better at? And then based off of that, you can reach out to people. So that goes to my point about like types of mentors you need in your life. So I think one type of mentor you should definitely have is like in your technical space. So if you're if you're trying to create a startup in like a fintech space, I would try to one founder you would want is someone in that fintech space, right? If you're a woman tech founder, maybe you want someone who may have experienced a lot of the microaggressions, so you want someone like that. In life, maybe your definition of success is associated with, maybe you want to be someone who travels and also has a successful job making like a certain amount of money. And maybe for that part of life, you gain one type of mentor. And then outside of like these people who are in positions higher than you and have experienced it all, another really important thing is to have is a peer mentor. So someone your age, like for me at work, I have a coworker who I'm very close with. We kind of both started around the same time, but we keep each other kind of in check. And when we have questions or we're stuck on something or we're not sure if we experienced something that we need to talk to someone else about, like we'll reach out to each other. So within like the mentors above you, you want the people more like your industry specialist, or I think they call it like a master of their craft. So you want one of those. You want someone whose life that you actually think you would like. Like there's this one Y Combinator founder, and he said like his life really is just his startup and his family, and that's all he focuses on. And for him, that's great. That's something he wants, but maybe that's not something other people would want. So if he's your mentor, you have to be very, very aware that the advice you're getting from him won't be about like your personal life. It will be about maybe the technical things. And then another thing, in addition to like, so you want those people up there, you want your peer, and then you also want a mentee, because you can learn a lot from like having that other side of the relationship and like talking to someone else and helping them out, because it only makes you stronger in your own space. Okay, now back to like making the most of your mentor relationship. You really have to go into it open-minded. Like a lot of times people will be providing constructive criticism and you really can't take it personally. So sometimes you really do have to go in with a thick skin. The next thing I would say is you want to try to be honest. This isn't someone you're trying to impress. You're literally going there so they can help you. So just go in very honestly. And it's okay if you don't know things, just as long as you're preparing, you're doing your homework. That's what matters. And then another thing I would say is like professionalism is very big. Sometimes people will get very comfortable with their mentee-mentor relationship and they might throw professionalism out the window, but you really can't be doing that, because if you want to maintain that relationship long term, you have to maintain professionality. So that comes from excuse me, that comes from multiple things. So one, when you're trying to reach out to someone initially for them to be a mentor, in your initial message, you kind of want to tell them what you want from the relationship. That's the first thing. The next thing, maybe create the Zoom calendar or the Google Meets link and provide it. Like, be on top of that and make sure you're attending the meetings and whatever with them on time. Like, you really should not be forgetting about it. If you need to get a planner or like download some like reminder app or whatever it is, like, make sure you're on top of that, because in the shoe of someone, like, many times, and then making sure you're sending thank you notes after. Like, for example, there's some people I've helped them with their resumes, and I reply to them and I give them all this feedback, and I've never heard anything back. And I'm a little confused because I'm like, I just spent like over an hour on this and I never heard anything back. So that lack of professionalism can really be off-putting, because if that person reaches out again, I might be a little hesitant to help them again, because I'm not sure if they really even care about this relationship. So definitely do the follow-ups with the thank yous, be on top of creating those Zoom links or whatever. And professionalism is very big throughout the relationship if you want to maintain it long-term. And then the next thing I would say is research and actually apply the advice they give you. Many times people will attend a session with their mentor. The mentor will give them a bunch of advice or like ideas or whatever they should try. It doesn't mean you have to listen to everything they say if you don't feel like it aligns with what you want. But if they're giving you advice and you asked for it, and if you're not following through and you meet with them again and they see that you haven't done it, again, that's a little off-putting. Again, people don't really feel like they feel like they're actually benefiting you. So it's not like a mutually beneficial relationship in that case. So yeah, definitely make sure to apply that advice. And my last point would be is this, it's kind of fun. It can be fun. Like, you're gaining some insight into someone else's life. You're hearing people's stories and you get to talk about yourself. So don't always go into, like, it's very easy to get nervous about these things. It can be very awkward. And initially it is. I'm not going to lie. I feel like it is often very awkward in the beginning, but just go for it. And try not to overthink it too much, and just try to have fun with it. And yeah, that's kind of what I have for today. If I myself am someone who's always open to helping out people, I know this mentorship program through this week sounds really amazing. So I hope you all are able to make the most of it.
Thank you so much. That was actually really insightful. Yes, if anyone has any questions for either Sarah or regarding the program in general, feel free to drop them in the chat. And then I do have a couple of questions for you, actually. So as another woman in tech, like, I mean, I feel like I kind of like need that mentor like in my life, and I've never actually really had one, at least not in the capacity of, like, you know, being a woman in tech. So there are some people that, like, I feel like who I could kind of build that relationship with, but I never know how to, like, you know, like make that first step. Like, since you've been a mentor, like, how are you comfortable with, like, people reaching out to you and it's like, hey, like, you know, you're someone I look up to, and, like, you know, would you be willing to help me out in, like, so and so spaces, or like in this capacity? Like, is that like something?
Yeah.
Is that like a good way to get that relationship going?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. A lot of times people will literally, they won't even necessarily say like they want a mentor. They might just have a few questions and they'll message me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, like whatever it is. Like, people will just reach out with a few, because sometimes you don't really know if like this person is someone, right? It is a relationship at the end of the day, right? So you might not know if you really want a relationship with this person. So you can test the waters by like just asking them a few questions first and seeing how responsive they are, or if you kind of vibe with their answers. So I think, yeah, that's a great way. If you just find someone interesting, I would just message them on LinkedIn. Or I think right now, honestly, like, I don't know if many of you are on Clubhouse. I have some free invites to Clubhouse if anyone wants, but Clubhouse is an app similar to like Discord, but it's basically like a great way to network with a bunch of women, and people seem so open to helping. So I think Twitter, right? I see so many people in tech on Twitter, actually, and people are a lot more responsive on there than LinkedIn. If anyone's interested, you can follow my Twitter. It's tweet at her. But yeah, I think kind of opening it to like going past like email and stuff. I think there are many other ways to just reach out to people. And even like a lot of tech founders I'm seeing, like, they're very active on Twitter. I think that's my like big plug. Get on Twitter if you're into this space.
Okay, yeah, that's like always my thing. I'm like, this person doesn't know me. Like, if I reach out to them with a question, like, what if they don't respond? Like, I think like that's kind of like something that holds me back. I'm like, I don't want with
Unfortunately,
someone who I think like I kind of look up to. So yeah, that's like something I think is a problem. But
I will say getting ghosted is real in this world of like networking. So although like many people like seem really awesome and everything, they just are very busy sometimes and they might like miss your message or whatnot. But I think keep trying because you'll eventually find some great mentors out there. But and don't take it personally if people don't reply. Like I'll be honest, like sometimes my LinkedIn messages, I'll see it like 2 months later and I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad. But yeah, just keep trying at it. And if you find someone interesting, there's really no harm in just messaging them. A lot of people in tend to have their own websites too with their emails. So that could be another route.
All right, we have a question in the chat. How do you communicate with someone if you decide you don't want to further the mentoring relationship? I think that's also a really big one. Like if you decide you tested the waters and you think it's not for you, like how do you go about ending that relationship?
That's a good question. I actually hadn't really thought about that too much, but I think one thing you can just say is you don't have to tell them you don't like them or you don't vibe with them or anything like that. I don't think it's necessary, especially with they're still going to be part of your professional network probably. So you can just say, oh, I've really appreciated what I've learned from this relationship. For now, I think I'm good and I'm going to be applying your advice and I'll reach back out to you if I ever do need anything. Most people really expect like you to consistent like if it's kind of obvious if the other like if a mentee isn't getting much from me, I feel like I can usually tell and I wouldn't push them to continue meeting with me, you know. So I think that would be my approach with it. Like, oh, thanks for what you've provided so far. I think I'm good for now, and then proceed that way.
Well, thanks for that. And then you mentioned like you're still in touch with like some like people you've met like through your menteeing years. So like, how do you continue that relationship like years after you met them? So like I've had okay, so before I transferred to like IT, I was majoring in architecture, and I did have some mentors like related to architecture, but after like a couple of months, like I feel like it just kind of fizzled out. Like even though we really connected at first, it's just that once like the formal mentoring program was over, I just couldn't keep it going. Like they would say like, oh yeah, keep in touch, let us know like what you're doing, stuff like that. But it never felt like it's genuine to me. So I was like, oh, like do they really care? So I don't know. I feel like I could have kept that going, but it didn't seem like they wanted it. So like, how do you keep that going? Like, how do you know they really want to keep in touch with you?
So I think I'd have like two answers to that. I think one, for yourself, like your personal mentors you have in your life, to maintain relationships with them, an easy way to do it is like holidays. You can text them or email them or whatever, like checking up with them. But if they're like your consistent mentors, then like just have like a quarterly cadence, maybe even if it's like even if it feels awkward to schedule like a Zoom or whatever with them, just do it and talk about your problems or talk about nothing, like whatever it is. Like I'm sure people like talking about their families, their travels, their pets, like whatever it is, right? So you can always just check in and ask about that. That's always an easy way. In terms of like people like who maybe you mentioned like architecture and you're not really doing that anymore, I think it's okay sometimes. Like you don't need to keep in touch with everyone either. Like if you don't feel like if you think they're cool people, then yeah, reach out. But it's okay sometimes to have gotten what you needed and then like kind of move forward, especially if like you feel like neither of you have anything to offer to each other. But yeah, if you do have the intention or if you do or you are trying to find a way to reconnect, I would say just like one, if it's not like your consistent mentors and like holidays are an easy time or like if you had a conversation about something with them and you remember they like something about I don't know, like the Grammys or something, right? It's a great way to just like reconnect, be like, hey, I was just thinking about you. How is whatever? And then the other things will naturally come up. But yeah, I think in terms of your like the other mentors you have in your life, for example, your that one master of a craft, your peer mentor, your like life mentor, those should be like consistent cadences that you set up. So maybe you meet with them like on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis or something, and that should just be on you to put on their calendar, and just keep consistent.
So so I know some people are like super busy, and like imagine like you have a mentor who's just super busy. Like, do you ever feel like you've been a mentor? Do you ever feel like there's a point where the mentee is going to be too much, like them constantly trying to like schedule things that don't fit in with like your schedule? Like, do you ever feel like it comes off as like maybe a task too much?
Yeah, I think sometimes that does happen, but that happens to people I think who aren't necessarily very professional. So for example, if you have a cadence and if you know you're always going to meet on the third Monday of the month, for your mentor, that's just part of their schedule now, right? But if you're someone who's very last minute and you're not like clear with your email or you're not clear with what you want, like if you're not giving like it really is like as much as it is like a lot of work for the mentor, it is a bit of work for the mentee because you need to figure out what you want from the relationship. So if you're coming into the meeting prepared with what questions you have or what you want to talk about, it makes it a lot easier for the mentor and it's not burdensome at all. Like for example, for a lot of mentors that you might have is all they need to do is just connect you with people. They want to help you network or something, right? So for them, it's just a quick email or text, phone call, and connect to people. But for you, it might be figuring out, oh, what type of person do I want to be connected with? Right. So I think for me, the experiences where I've felt a little like burdened by the mentee is like when there's a lack of professionalism in terms of like them following up, checking in, or like they say they're available 3 days of that week and then they don't actually show up or respond to emails. Because at that point, I've mentally like allotted that time for them. So I think as long as you maintain that professionalism and you're organized and you're um, coming in prepared, I think you'll be fine. And people will like I think most mentors actually really enjoy the relationship and feel like they learn a lot from their mentees as well. Like I don't think you should feel like I don't think there's any reason to feel like a burden. Like I really think I learned so much from just talking to younger folk too.
That's actually great to hear, because sometimes I'll be reaching out to someone and I'm like, oh, like I emailed them this a few days ago. I don't want them to think I'm being like too annoying or too clingy. Even though if it's like a genuine thing, I do need to reach out for. So yeah, that's like always in the back of my head. And I know like a lot of my peers also have that thing. They're like, oh, like I feel like I've been reaching out to this person too much. I don't want them to think that like I'm too annoying. So
yeah, I think as long as like, for example, if you had a question, they said they would get back to you in like 3 days or something, they haven't. It's perfectly fair to follow up. I think it really is like people do forget, especially with the pandemic too. Everyone just so burnt out lately. So I think there's no harm in following up. If you do feel like you're being a little overbearing, maybe consult someone else. That's where your peer mentor can come in, right? They can let you know if they think that you might be overdoing it.
And then at one point in your talk, like you mentioned about like interacting with people who didn't like necessarily look like you. So have you ever like had that thing with like a mentor where they didn't like really understand like where you were coming from like regarding a certain issue? And like how did you go about like navigating that? Like was that like the end of the relationship or did you like try to like work around that?
So I think that's like very common if you're working a job. Generally, like a lot of your managers or the people that you're supposed to be consulting, oftentimes will not have the same background as you or not really understand where you're coming from. So yeah, that's definitely the case. I have experienced that at work, I think very often. A lot of it is very much like, I think in my experience, most people are out to try to help you and they're trying to understand. So although it might be a little frustrating to have to like continue to explain to them like your background and where you're coming from or all that, like it will only help the relationship. So for example, with one thing like my manager at work, I think something that's really helped is like kind of giving more context about where I'm coming from, what my understanding is, even if it's like technical background stuff versus like just how I feel about being like earlier on there weren't many women on my team, so like just like kind of vocalizing those things more because the other person won't be thinking the same way you're thinking, so just saying it out loud sometimes does help. But if you do feel like your mentor is is not making that effort and doesn't make you feel comfortable, you don't need to like maintain that relationship, or you can keep it. Like, for example, if they're your mentor for like just the technical stuff, for example, like again, to that fintech example, if it's someone very successful in the fintech space and that's what you're trying to get into, yeah, totally consult them and just keep it super professional. You don't need to talk about like your personal stuff too much. You just get the information you need, and you can go from there, I think.
I see. Well, yeah, that actually really helps because, I mean, there have been some people I feel like I could have reached out to, but then I'm like, they will understand where I'm coming from. That's like, I like a minority woman in tech. Like, I have to like overcome a lot of things that other people I know don't have to. So if I were to talk to somebody and they'd be like, oh, like, I don't, like, they wouldn't be able to like really understand it, even if they tried to. So, yeah, like, I think that's actually really important to look for in a mentor, I guess.
I think one thing I'll add on to that too is like there's so many communities out there right now that are emerging for marginalized groups, whether it's like there's like Latinas in tech, there's Muslim women in technology, plugging my own organization, there's women in tech, there's even for all the men out there, like you might be like the only Black founder. Like there's not like there's a lot of like funding issues around being Black in America, right? Like it's very skewed to a certain demographic. So join those organizations, because being part of a community can be really helpful, because maybe like outside of even mentorship, just having a community of other people who have shared experiences can go a long way, because you can just like think out loud, and or you could hear other people's stories and be like, oh wait, they went through it too, I'm not alone, this is wrong. Like a lot of times in life you might be wronged and you might not even realize that you were, until you hear someone else tell you about their experience, and then you can see it in retrospect. So yeah, definitely join those communities. I think that's a great part. And Chicago also has like Chai Hackers is really cool, and really cool org, among many others. I think Meetup is a great way to find those.
I see. Well, I'll keep that in mind. And then I don't think we have like any more questions in the chat. So like right before like we go, like, do you have any piece of advice for any of our attendees today? It could be like literally anything. So
I think my biggest advice that I'm still learning and trying to work on myself is, like, most of the people here, I think, like, are young, and you're in the audience, and many times people will make you feel like your take or your opinion doesn't matter, but it really does. A lot of people starting off, like all these like startups, right? They come like it's one person's idea that just manifests into something, and it could possibly change the world. So take that time, develop your perspective, develop your opinion, and don't keep it to yourself. If it's something you think you're passionate about, voice your opinion and value it. Find value in it yourself, because if you don't find value in it yourself, no one else will. So yeah, just be strong when your voice, take up some space.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate having you here, and it was great getting to know you and like your mentorship, like your journey, both as a mentor and a mentee. And thank you so much for everything you had to say.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
And feel free to check out other events, and also promote it on social media. But yeah, it's really nice having you here today.
Thank you. And you guys can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter or anything like that. Great.
All right, we will. Okay. All right. So applications for the Chicago Startup Week mentorship are open until the end of the day tomorrow, March 19th. So there's still time to sign up. Once you have received and reviewed all applications, we'll notify you of your selection status via email, and shortly afterwards, we'll introduce you to our mentor or mentee. If you have any questions that weren't answered today or that come to you after this event, feel free to email us at chystartupweek@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you soon. This concludes the first half of our event, and the next half will take place on GamersDrive, an interactive platform that allows you to meet other attendees in a 3D setting. This part of the event focuses on networking and getting to know your fellow mentors and mentees, and is purely optional. If you choose not to join us for this, thank you so much for your interest in the mentorship program and for joining us today. So you guys just want to look up gamerjive.com, and then you can quickly log in using your Google account, and you can set up like an avatar and then enter the Chicago Startup Week event. I'll drop a link in a second.
Harim, I think I found the link. Is that the right one?
That is the one. So that is it. Then I'm going to share this event.
I see that you're talking, but unfortunately, I can't hear you in Hopin. Yep. I don't know if you want to refresh your screen or maybe reconnect your headphones. But in the meantime, audience, if you check out the main stage chat, we are in GamerJive for the next 21 minutes, meeting the other mentees and mentors who are in the mentorship program. So if you want to head there and meet some of those people, please click that link. Lou is coming back on. I'm bringing him on stage right now, and he's going to give you guys a sneak peek. No, I still can't hear you. Totally didn't hear you say that either.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank God you couldn't hear me the first time because I was cursing like a fisherman.
Yeah, I could totally read your lips on that. Antonio asked you a question in the chat. Can you walk him through that?
Yes. Antonio, I'll be with you in a sec.
You gotta share your audio. Share your screen sharing audio.
I don't know. I don't know why it keeps unselecting. It's been good up until now, and then every time. Okay. Bam, bam. Fourth time's the charm.
Okay, Antonio, he's going to show you how to do that.
Yes. So, that's pretty easy. On the bottom left, you can see, wait, you can unmute yourself. Hey, and I can see you talking in the public chat, in gamer chat now. Can you hear me all right?
Lou, is your like audio on? Or like is your audio on in Gamer Jab? Because isn't there background music usually? Like elevator music?
Yes, but I pressed mute because I found it annoying.
I see.
Yeah. I'll leave it on. I'll leave it on. That way we know.
Just for yeah, just for
yeah. Is your audio working, Antonio? I see that you've unmuted yourself. Oh wait, you know you're in the lobby. Okay, okay. I'll Oh. I can't hear you, unfortunately, but I think that's a mic issue because it looks like you are unmuted. Normally when people talk...
refreshing screen maybe? I don't know.
Can you hear me right?
Yeah, now I can hear you. There you are.
You can't hear me right now?
Yes, I can. I can.
Hello?
Oh, I can hear you, Antonio. Oh. You can't hear me, can you? You're loud and clear, though. I can hear you just fine. Reem is here. Seth is here. Victor is here. When you get to the lobby, feel free to get a haircut and a nice hat. Really make everything your own. Yeah, so I can hear you, Antonio. Or could. Normally when you start talking, the little microphone next to your name will... Oh, yeah. There you are again.
It doesn't seem like you can hear me anymore.
Now I can. It's a little bit spotty, though. It's in and out.
Oh, there's so much delay. I think you hear what I say like a minute later.
Oh, well, I mean, that would explain that, yeah. If there's still delay, I just caught the part with the delay. Also, pro tip for anyone who comes in the lobby and doesn't like moving around with the mouse, if you press Z, you can move around with WASD or the arrow keys.
So can you get the other 3 participants into the chat so that we can hear them?
They have to join themselves, but the link is in the chat, so they can just... I'll put it in there again, just so that it's all the way at the bottom and no one misses it. Boop. Let's see. Victor is here. Who else are we waiting for? Oh, I can't hear Victor, but I do see that his microphone is popping up. I don't know if you were talking, but I couldn't understand. Ah. Hey, I can hear him.
I can't hear Victor, but I do see that his microphone is popping up.
Yeah.
Can you hear
I'm
me?
seeing the same
But I
thing.
couldn't understand.
Can you hear
Oh,
me?
I can. Yeah, now I can hear
Hello?
you.
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hi.
I can't hear Victor, but I do see that his microphone is I can hear you. Yeah, I'm seeing
Okay,
you.
so one tip, Antonio
Oh,
or
can you hear me?
Victor,
Yeah. No, I can
don't
hear
have
you.
Hopin and Gamer
I can
Drive
hear
open
you.
at the same
Heard.
time.
There's a
you
huge
can.
delay in when I chat.
Yeah.
Hi. I can't hear Victor, but I do see
If
that
you're
his
having any
microphone is,
issues, maybe
I
try
can
just
hear you.
closing a couple of tabs.
Okay, so
Because
one
it does.
tip, Antonio or Victor, don't have Hopin and Gamer Drive open.
Yeah, that's fucking
There's
bad.
a huge delay. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I see what you were saying now with the delay. That makes a lot of sense. So if anyone's having issues, just try to refresh your page, close a couple of tabs, that kind of stuff. That usually helps out a lot.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of feedback going on when both are open at the same time.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear
Hopefully
you. Yeah.
with no delay.
Alright, very cool.
Also, there's a mini game in Gamerjibe of collecting stars. I think there's a prize at the end for the one that collects
are
the most
people with
stars.
the crowns by their name, are those the mentors?
Those are the everyone that's moderator, basically. The people that are organizing and working at the startup. Let me run it by Harim, because she knows everything. Mm. So in the meantime, feel free to deck out your guy, collect some stars, all of that jazz. Let's see if anyone else. No, Harim, we can't hear you yet for some reason. Ah, now I can. There you are. Oh, everything's jumping here and there. If you can't hear anyone, maybe try. Oh, is everyone going outside? Oh, maybe that's why. In and out. Yeah, we can try going to a chat zone. That usually works a little bit better. Victor is supposed to be able to hear me now. Oh. Victor, could you press the top right button? Because I think you're in private chat right now. Since there's like a little balloon with a lock above your head. Welcome back, Harim. It's so silent all of a sudden. Oh, okay, people are coming back in. Welcome back, Antonio.
Loot, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Hey, I can talk to myself for hours, I don't mind. There you go. Harim, is your mic working? Oh, I can hear you now. Perfect. Oh, we're in private chat again. I shouldn't have sent that invite. Yeah, I'm gonna just leave private chat again and go back into the main lobby. Oop. There we go. Victor and Antonio, you guys. Oh. Hey. Okay.
Hello?
Who can hear me right now?
Hello.
I can.
I think I'm only
Everyone's
talking
here.
to you,
Perfect.
Antonio, right?
No, we can hear
I
you
think we
too.
should all be able to hear each other.
Yeah.
It says
On
we're
the
in a
right-hand
private
side.
chat. Well, I think all 4 of us are in the same
Yeah,
private chat. Right?
exactly. I just
Wait,
been
so
inviting
can you
everyone to
guys
the
hear me in
private
the
chat.
private chat?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
All of
I've
us
been
are
trying
here.
to talk, but like nobody would hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, now
yeah,
we
I
can.
figured out something like
So
that.
that's cool.
And there's no lag, or manageably so.
Dude, I can see you're talking, but I don't hear anything.
Really? God damn it.
Can you hear this? Can you hear what I'm saying?
I can hear you guys. I see lips are moving, but I can't hear any sound coming out.
Antonio, you can hear me though, right? Yeah, I can.
Well, guess that. I'm just refreshing it. I'll be back in a sec.
I love technical difficulties.
It's so weird. It's been so good the whole week. I've been into Gamer Jab like every day but one day, and it's worked perfect. I've listened
Yeah.
into so many private conversations. It was amazing.
Very funny. We're getting a spike. We got 72 people in hopping right now. This is awesome.
Ooh, fancy. I'm back.
For anyone who's just confused and staring at loot, playing around in this cool avatar world, if you check out the chat, we're actually hanging out in Gamer Jibe, and that's where loot is. So you can go join them by clicking that link.
Come join. Come one, come all. Hey, I'm back in the chat. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah, I'm unmuted and oh wait, I know what might be the issue. And I think my mic settings are off. That's why this is happening. Yeah.
Okay, since we only have a few minutes left, I guess we'll wrap up this event. If you guys want to give each other's contact information, feel free to. Or we're gonna have like plenty of like networking events even after Chicago Startup Week for the mentorship program. So you'll have a chance to like meet each other then if you don't already know each other. And then before we move on, we are giving our next raffle prize. So from the Gamer Dive audience, Antonio is walking away with a $15 Amazon gift card. So congratulations. We'll follow you up for more details.
Oh, cool.
And then for signed up, I don't really have to like walk through the application process. But thank you so much for joining us. And then you'll be hearing us from the Chicago Startup Week mentorship team soon. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you
for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harim. $15. That's exactly enough to buy a handheld espresso maker. And don't ask me how I know that. I'm getting the feeling that my Game Jab audio is still not working. Harim, any chance you can hear me right now?
Are you saying something? Because I still see your lips moving and I still can't hear you.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, I'll just try to fix it. Let's see. And what about now? Can you hear me now? No. So close. So
It
close.
honestly might be because of Hopin, so hopefully later today it'll be yeah, it'll be different.
I feel like it's my mic settings, but I can't update them in GamerJab itself. Yeah, it's probably just Hopin. Oh well, it is what it is. I will guide others to a treasure I can never possess myself.
Alrighty, Loot. Well, in a couple minutes, I think we will wrap up, so I'll let you know when.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks again. So if there's any new people coming in, head over to GamerJab, grab a hat, grab some goggles, grab a cup of coffee, collect some stars, meet some people. The list never ends. Okay. Oh. Oh, thank God. Some other music. It's a shame I can't see if people are actually coming into the lobby. As far as I'm aware. Oh, I guess I'm just gonna do a speedrun of collecting stars by myself. If anyone's coming into Hopin, feel free to just ask a question. And I'll help you get into GamerJab. Welcome to GamerJab.
We're about a minute out. If you want to say a little closing speech, and then I can go ahead and stop broadcasting.
Sounds good. So for the last people that are in Hopin, please come and join us in GamerJab again. We'll do a little bit of socializing, get to know each other. Be sure to register for the mentorship, as registrations will be closing soon. And this is an opportunity you really don't want to miss out on. You can always back out early, but this really is an opportunity you can't pass up. So come and join us, come and get to know us, have a little bit of fun. It's a really interesting program. And I hope to see you guys in GamerJab. I feel like I've been saying GamerJab a lot.